sure I didn't miss her.
I appreciate it.
feeling, bud? Good.
All right, it is 5:30. I appreciate everybody being here. The way we do the council meeting is 30 minutes before it starts, we'll go through the agenda to see if there's any changes or additions or anything, and then we get started at 6. So this first part ought to go pretty quickly. And just for the record, Mr. Jackson is on the phone, has called in. All right, approval of minutes. Any questions on those? All right, public hearings, resolution 23-319, approved request for restaurant retail liquor license for Responsible Partners LLC at 609 Bank Street, Decatur, Alabama 35601. All right, any questions? All right, resolutions, resolution 23-320, preliminary approval of MUB FY24 expenditures expected to exceed $100,000.
No changes.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-321, approve extension of a special use permit for Verizon to modify existing equipment located at 401 McIntyre Lane Southwest.
No changes.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-322, approve extension of a special use permit for Verizon to modify existing equipment located at 2625 Centron Drive Southwest. Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-323, assess demolition costs in the amount of $24,214 against 16 Cherry Street Northwest.
No change.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-324, assess demolition costs in the amount of $3,830 against 3057 7th Avenue Northwest.
No change.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-325, accept Walmart community grant for the fire department.
No change.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-326, approve street department truck purchase.
No changes.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-327, approve discontinuing Las Vias conditional revocation or suspension.
There's no change.
There's been no issues with them. Okay. All right, any other questions? Resolution 23-317, authorize mayor to sign agreement with Slaughter and Associates for redistricting.
Mr. Slaughter asked this to be taken off the agenda because it's a workload in there, and he said he didn't want to be considered for it.
Okay. Any questions? We will remove that I from the agenda.
I couldn't hear that. What did he say we were removing that?
Yeah, Dane, can
Yeah,
you?
Mr. Slaughter asked that we remove that from the agenda. He said he didn't want to be considered for that any longer.
Yep. Is on that though? Is Chris? Chris is not here. We feel good about the software.
Yes, feel good about the software, and then have an Alabama A&M to look over what we're doing to make sure it's in line with what the software is saying as well.
Okay, so he kind of mentioned last week there were still some things he wanted to look at.
Yes, they will have to get the software, and then, because they have it in the budget, and then run kind of a test run on it to see how it
Okay.
works.
Okay, any other?
Are we paying Alabama A&M anything?
No, we are not.
Okay, and so they're just going over and seeing if we are using the software correctly, correct?
They're also going to run their model on the districting as well.
I'm sorry, say that again?
They're going to be running their model on the districting as well, but they'll work in conjunction with us as we run the software.
Okay, we'll talk more about that then, because I mean, we've always done it in-house, and anyway, we'll talk more about that.
All right, any other questions? Resolution 23-328, approve A-Trip 2 grant application for Highway 67 and Old Moulton Road intersection improvements. This was the addition that you added last meeting.
No changes unless the council has questions.
Okay, any questions? All right, ordinances. Ordinance 23-4570, approve Crown Castle Fiber Agreement approval.
This is the final consideration. It's ready to be either approved or modified. There's no changes to it. The representatives are here if there's any questions, but there's no change to it.
All right. Any discussion, questions? All right, that is the end of the pre-meeting. We will get started at 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Alan Stover will lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, as we come to you tonight, God, we thank you for your many blessings. God, I just pray that you would be with us, God, as we make the decisions for the city. God, I pray that as your word says, God, if your people who are called by your name would humble themselves and pray, then you would hear from heaven and heal their land. God, this city needs healing tonight, God. God, I just pray that you would be with us, God, that we would be about your business. God, I pray that we would God, I pray that your Holy Spirit, God, would just permeate this place, God. God, I pray that you would just let us be what you would have us to be, God. God, I pray that you would be revealed. God, I pray that you would be glorified in all that we do, God. God, just be with us, God. Lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus Christ's holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, hey guys, we got to conduct the meeting and we got to be able to hear to do it. Roll call. Here.
McMaster.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Pepper.
Here.
Just want to make sure everybody heard Mr. Jackson is on the phone. All right, we will move into approval of minutes. Is it okay if we take those as one? Sorry. All right, take those all together.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 5-0. Next we'll have public hearings. Resolution 23-319, approved request for a restaurant retail liquor license for Responsible Partners LLC at 609 Bank Street, Decatur, Alabama 35601.
Emma Anders, Revenue Department. This is an application to open up a new Dreyer's on Bank Street. They have completed all their paperwork and we recommend approval.
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-319 is approved 5-0. Resolutions, Resolution 23-320, preliminary approval of MUB FY24 expenditures expected to exceed $100,000. Ray?
Good evening, Ray Harden, Decatur Utilities. As I mentioned in the work session, there's been no changes from our presentation we made last week, but just to recap, the legislative act that created Decatur Utilities Board as it stands today, requires that the council approve any capital expenditures in excess of $100,000. And so that process is something that we've followed for many years, but this year, and we've been doing this now for about 5 years, we've went over all of the capital projects that we anticipate to exceed $100,000 with you. And that really provides a couple of benefits. One is the vendors and contractors that we're buying products and services from really have a hard time holding prices firm for such an extended period of time that requires board and council approval. And so we tend to pay a premium for that sometimes. So this allows us to get more competitive pricing and get quicker turnarounds to execute contracts and purchase requisitions with vendors. The process, the way this works is with your approval of this resolution, all of these projects will still go to the board of directors. If those are approved, then they'll be fully approved to be executed. If any of those projects exceeds the value that you approve, then we would bring those back to you. And I think I mentioned last week, we've got a couple of large projects on the books that are under design right now that are not even in this list, and those will come to you at the appropriate time when those bids are open. So be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
We did have one sign in for public comment on this agenda item, so I'll let her come. now.
Andrew Hoffmeyer Wilson, 1306 Carroll Street. Now, I'm trying to understand this, so pardon me. This is a little bewildering to me how this is different from the $90 million budget and everything, but my understanding is that this is completely separate from the city budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, completely separate. Well, it was illuminating, and I can see now why our power bills are so high. I think that there ought to be some transparency in who is paying for this. Because I understand that this is not part of the $90 million city budget, but I'm not great at math, but it's over $30 million on this, and it's not exhaustive. I just think that we all pay our power bill through Decatur Utilities. We should have transparency in what's going on here, and it's a transparency issue overall with how our money is being spent. It's still our money, even if it's not the city budget. We are imminently going to be facing an immense financial impact in the city of Decatur because we're going to have lawsuits. And I'd also like to know, just as an aside, but a related topic, how much are we paying Lockwood and Associates for their services? Because that's another thing that we've got coming out of our pocketbooks. So just a few little money questions there. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Wilson. Come on, guys. I will say, some of those items that are in what's about to be voted on were actually approved, and I've talked to Rob about this back in 2021 as part of our sewer rehab. To answer your question, who pays ratepayers is where they generate revenues of citizens that have Decatur utilities. So, yeah, I mean, good questions, but I think those are generally the answers. Anything to add?
No, obviously, the revenues of the utility department is what covers these expenditures. I will say that Decatur Utilities has the lowest power rates in the state of Alabama, the second lowest water rates in the state of Alabama.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Hey, guys, look, I'm just not going to continue to have to talk over everybody. I've tried every week to be very fair. I think a lot of people would agree with that, but I'm just not going to do it tonight. So please just let us get through the agenda, and then we'll let everybody, when it's time for public comment, be able to give their comments. Thank you. All right, we got a motion by Mr. Pike.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion?
I'll simply say that, excuse me, I don't know that I agree with, Andrea about the lack of transparency, but I do, think that this is one of those issues where these are large expenditures and they are right in front of us, but I do think that they need to, it's something that needs to come before our citizens each and every time they come up. And I understand the expediency that is associated with it. I understand that we might be able to get better rates, but I do think that this is, when we have large expenditures, that they should come before our public each and every time, and not just in one lump situation like this. I just think that they have to be almost refreshed in our citizens' minds each time we vote on something that's of this magnitude, so I won't support this tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Blackmer.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-320 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-321, approve extension of a special use permit for Verizon to modify existing equipment located at 401 McIntyre Lane Southwest. David.
Good afternoon, President and Council. David Andrews with CMS. This first resolution is for an extension of a special use permit that was approved for Verizon to modify the existing site at 401 McIntyre last September. The special use permit expired and Verizon did not complete the construction. They're asking now for an extra 180 days to complete the construction to provide 5G service to the McIntyre area. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-321 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-322, approve extension of a special use permit for Verizon to modify existing equipment located at 2625 Centron Drive Southwest.
This is the same situation. They were approved last September. They let it expire. They're asking for a 180-day extension to complete the construction for 5G service in the Beltline area. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-322 is approved 5-0. Thanks, David. Resolution 23-323, assess demolition costs in the amount of $24,214 against 16 Cherry Street Northwest.
Good evening, David Lee with the Community Development Department, and there's no changes on this.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-323 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-324, assess demolition cost in the amount of $3,830 against 305 7th Avenue Northwest.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-324 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-325, accept Walmart Community Grant for the Fire Department.
Yes, sir. Tracy Thornton, Decatur Fire and Rescue. Our department put in with a grant for a grant with Walmart and was awarded that grant. We're going to use this to replace some outdated equipment on our trucks.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-325 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-326, approved street department truck purchase.
Dean Shaw, Director of Development for the City of Decatur. This is approved the purchase of a Kentworth truck that will be replacing a 2001 Freightliner, and we can have it delivered within the first quarter of this next year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-326 approved 5-0. Resolution 23-327 approved discontinuing Las Villas conditional revocation or suspension.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-327 is approved 5-0. Hold on one second, Alan. The next resolution, 23-317, was requested to be removed from the agenda. We are removing it, but I think Ms. Hoffmeyer Wilson would like to speak on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, I'm still Andrea Hoffmeyer Wilson. So, while this was removed because Slaughter and Associates has asked for it to be removed, and apparently we're getting A&M to do the software and everything, this is a really big deal. This is our redistricting, and there's a lot on the table right now. This needs to be done with the utmost transparency. As Billy mentioned in previous meetings, 8th graders have used the software. I myself used municipal redistricting software in my master's program for sustainable development. I'm not the brightest bulb in the room, and I was able to work it. So we should actually be able to figure out how to do this. Citizens should have exposure to what exactly is being proposed. There should be options of different things that are proposed. We should have the option of increasing our number of districts to 7. And I'd actually also like to point out that this was a line item that said authorize mayor to sign the agreement. He said that he wasn't going to be here because there wasn't anything that pertained to him. He's lucky that this got taken off of the agenda, and I'm just standing up here because this did pertain to him. And I would like to just mention that out in Alabama Code Title 11, 44B-8, you can have the temporary vacancy in the office of the mayor. And I know that you don't want to hear this, Jacob, but in that temporary vacancy, you get to fill it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dane.
Yeah, just a follow-up comment on that. We agree. The redistricting is very important to us. I talked about it extensively with the staff. We want this to be very unbiased. It's very important for our city. That's one of the reasons why we wanted Alabama A&M to oversee some of the work that we were doing. It's just important that we have that. So it's an important time for our city. So just I want everyone to know that is that I echo what you're saying. We want the same thing.
Thanks, Dane. Herman, did you have something?
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, but we shared that before. That particular code section does not apply to the city of Decatur. We're under 1143. 1144 that you're talking about is a different form of government. Okay, so I just didn't want anybody to be. I appreciate you doing the research. But
Can you talk, Herman, because I've gotten a lot of emails and questions about this topic. What would cause because if there's overseas travel, what would cause an interim or mayor pro tem to happen? Removal from office, resignation. Just can you speak to that a little bit, just in general?
All right. Well,
I've just gotten a lot of questions.
Well, I understand that. That's a good question. If the mayor's office is vacated for any reason, then automatically the council president becomes the mayor pro tem. If he or she does not wish to serve, then the council pro tem becomes the mayor pro tem. Okay? How about, that's pretty succinct.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, Resolution 23-328, approve 8-Trip 2 grant application for Highway 67 and Old Moulton Road intersection improvements.
Yes, this is a grant application for intersection improvements to Highway 67 and Old Moulton Road. This grant will allow us to make those modifications. This is the grant application for up to $2 million. If awarded, we would bring that back to the council to accept that grant. So this is only for the application.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-328 is approved 5-0. Ordinances, ordinance 23-4570, approved Crown Castle Fiber Agreement approval.
Okay, because this has been presented several times. Representatives are here from Crown Castle. What this involves is what's called small cell installations. They can be on the ground, they can be on poles, that kind of thing. They do the same thing as towers do, except they do it on a more limited basis. So what they're asking us to do is to grant them permission to install these small cell units. And now, somebody, is that good enough, or somebody wants to share? And y'all come a long distance, so share what you have.
Yeah, my name is Daryl Forster with Crown Castle. We are the largest shared infrastructure provider. We have national contracts with all the wireless carriers, and we've been deploying in the state of Alabama for the last 10 years. So basically, when there's a need that comes to our company, there's pockets in the network that either have coverage or capacity gaps, and that's what our facilities provide. It eliminates, either if you have drop calls or if you're trying to access the internet from your wireless phone, that's what our facilities. And because we're a shared infrastructure provider, it's good for the residents and it's good for the city officials because, we have multi-tenant assets, right, that fills the need for all the carriers. Now, they'll still have some self-performing needs, but when you're talking specifics, once we have an anchor tenant, all of our builds have additional tenants that attach to it. I'm sure all of us in this room has been to venues, stadiums, theme parks, all of that, areas where you have a lot of congestion, right? There's a capacity constraint on the network, and there's small cells that you probably don't even know that you walk by.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Slider.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Aye. Ordinance 234570 is approved 5-0. We will move into public comment, and I think there was some rearranging, and I'm going to do my best to, if I call out somebody's name in the wrong spot, y'all just let me know, and we'll get you right. I think most of you have been here probably the last 5 weeks or so. We give 3 minutes for public comment. I think if you've been here, I try to give a lot of leeway, but when we get to 3 minutes, just try to wrap that point up. If you'll give your name at the podium, and then you're addressing the council, not, I guess, city employees and others that are out in the crowd. So let's try to do that and have a productive meeting and conversation. And I think we have had those in the past. So we'll start with Craig Johnson, and Craig had called me this week. He's got a presentation. I think he's got something for everybody to see, and it's the same thing the council has. So turn it over to Craig.
Appreciate it. My name is Craig Johnson. First and foremost, thank you very much. There's a saying that in order to be truly peaceful, you have to be capable of danger. You have to be a dangerous person in order to be peaceful. If you're not capable of being dangerous, you're harmless. The people of this city have been peaceful, and I want to make that known. We are not harmless, we are peaceful, and I think that needs to start being recognized and appreciated just right off the jump. Second, we're having a cookout this weekend, Saturday the 11th. When I look at everybody in this room, I don't want you to be there, I need you to be there. I need you to get to know your neighbor, share a plate, share a story, share some understanding of who these people are sitting in this room and across our city. There's not enough of that, by any means. And if you think you're not invited, you're wrong. You are. Absolutely invited. Now to the task at hand, what I want to propose, I've tried to get done for a week. I've been told no, every which way I could be told no. I want to do a march from Ingalls Harbor at 3 o'clock, across the bridge, and back to Ingalls Harbor. Everybody said we can't do this, and I think there's a misconception. You've all been given papers. The yellow is where the march will go through. Turn around at the median. I'm not asking for that whole area to be shut down for an hour and a half. What I'm asking for is to work together with our community, whether it be the council, the police chief, whoever, and we can have an organized march, and the people of this city can have their voice. The 4 of you, 5 of you with Mr. Jackson, our police chief, all signed up to give people of the city a voice and to be there for the people of the city. This is how we can do it. We leave from Ingalls Harbor at 3 o'clock on the dot. We ain't gonna be late. We leave from Ingalls Harbor, it is 1.25 miles to turn at the bridge. The average human walks 3 miles an hour. If we have a quarter mile of people walking, that adds 4 minutes to the front of that line. So it would take roughly 28 minutes to walk to the bridge. That's how long the eastbound lane of Highway 20 would be shut down. Now, I've been told that we can't shut down Highway 20, yet there are 2 sets of railroad tracks on that same highway that have repeatedly stopped traffic going both ways on that same road. There is one piece of road that is not 5 lanes without a turning lane in the middle. I understand. That piece of road is roughly 1/10 of a mile. Now, if we do as I propose and we have 7 officers escort this march, we would have 1 in the front, 1 in the back, 4 down the sides, and 1 up ahead, making sure everything could be run smoothly. That 1 car up ahead, because there's not going to be any traffic in front of the march, can make a U-turn right there on the eastbound lane, block on the eastbound side where the turning lane ends, and then the other 4 on the side of the march can block the left lane of the westbound lane. Traffic can go down to 1 lane. We're not asking to stop the opposite lane. We're asking to be safe. For 1/10 of a mile is the only time the opposite lane of traffic will be messed with, and a person walking at 3 miles an hour and a quarter mile worth of people, that is 6 minutes. It takes you 2 minutes to walk 1/10 of a mile at 3 miles an hour, and a quarter mile, it takes you 4 minutes to walk the same distance. So you're looking at 6 minutes of these officers in a coordinated effort blocking that road. Only 1 lane of the road. After that is over, the officer that had turned the U-turn to cut off that turning lane, the 4 that were on the side will come ahead. The first car in that 4 will now be the front officer. They will rotate. The officer that turned around the first time will now be the very tail end car. We get to the bridge. It is 7/10 of a mile to the median where we want to turn around. That means that bridge will be blocked for 18 minutes. And it's not completely blocked because our procession will not stop. We will keep moving. If there's an ambulance needed to come across that bridge, we will get in the right 2 lanes and let the ambulance through, because we are not monsters. We are people, and we understand people need help, and we don't want anybody losing their life over this, because we've had to deal with someone losing their life when it wasn't needed. We'll take this median. As you notice right here, I talked to the fellow from the fire department tonight. He said there may be more than 1 fire truck needed, but we could set up units. This will take 10 units of our police department. Set up units and ambulance and how many ever fire department people we need. Have them sitting right here. If they need to go northbound on 565, they get out right here at this median. So there's no worrying about having to come over the bridge. If we're on the bridge, we're set up ready to take care of a problem if it happens. Now you say 10 units, that's a lot of units. If I were to stand right here and tell you or the chief or anybody, this is going to happen whether you like it or not, then you would have 10 units waiting for us anyway. So then we make that turn. Once everybody makes that turn right here, which will roughly take about 6 minutes to get everybody on and completely on the other side of the road, the northbound lane of the bridge opens completely up. There is no more hindrance to traffic. Now we're on the southbound side of the bridge. It's the same time frame, 18 minutes, to get everybody completely off that bridge. Once we turn right back onto 20, we open the southbound lane of the bridge completely back up. We spend another 28 minutes going back to Ingalls Harbor. We'll do the same rotation of the 7 cars when we get to that 1/10 of a mile. That will take 6 minutes. We all go back. We enjoy each other, and I hope y'all enjoy them hamburgers, because we're going to fry the shit out of them.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. obviously put a lot of thought into it.
If there's any questions, I'm here to answer them right now.
And you and I talked on the phone about this Friday,
Yes.
Thursday, Friday. And there are challenges. You
Absolutely.
admit. And so here's where I come from. I told you the council doesn't have the authority.
Yes.
Like when the Scottsboro boys, when Ciota had the Horton house moved over, we didn't approve shutting down the bridge to get the house. That was done with PD and probably others as well. Those are state routes you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
But I'm in finance, and sometimes salespeople bring underwriters deals, and bad underwriters say we can't do that. Good underwriters say, here's how we can do that. And I hope that we'll be a good underwriter.
But not only can we do it, it would be a win for this city.
Yeah.
Not just a win for the people sitting out here. These people have asked to be heard. All of you guys signed up for your position because you wanted to be a voice for the people in your district. The mayor signed up for his job because he wanted to be a voice of the people in the city. And the police chief signed up for his job because he wanted to stand up for people in this city. Not only do we have a chance to have our voices heard, you have a chance right now to have these people clap for you. You have a chance right now to start what you say you need in healing and understanding with each other. You have a chance to do something special in a city that refuses to do anything special. And the march is the same way. You know how cool it would be to see Jacob Ladner walking with the people for justice for Steve. You know how cool it would be to see Todd Kenyon walking with people for unity in our city. Just because you walk or come to the cookout does not mean you're telling people they're guilty, innocent, whatever. It just means that you care about the people in your city. That's all we're asking for, is to care, and we're asking to walk. And I stood right here last week and I told everybody to get off your ass and get to work. And I think people thought I was going to stay sit down. The people of this city ain't going to stay sit down either. You want to do something? Let's have an open line of communication. Let's get it done. But this whole 7th floor things, and we got to find out on the news, that ain't it. Let's be a family if you want to have a family. And these people in this room are just asking for a chance. Let their voice be heard. Let Steve's name be yelled. And let it not be forgotten. And we have the chance.
Thanks, Craig. Next on this list is Larry DeJarnett.
To the council, other officials who are present tonight, and members of the clergy. My name is Larry DeJarnett Sr. I'm the fraternal grandfather of Jaden DeJarnett. Jaden died on September the 4th, 2023. After an extensive chase and pursuit by law enforcement that ended in Lawrence County, Alabama. I'm here today to let you know about a thorn that's in my side. A thorn that has pierced the flesh of my family. I'm here to talk to you about Jaden. Jaden, a 16-year-old boy. Jaden, a football player for Sparkman High School. Jaden, a young, loving black boy, full of joy. Jaden, my grandson. Jaden thought it was important enough for him to run from the police. Now, if I would have been there, I would have demanded that Jaden stop and let's work through the process with the police. But since I wasn't there, there still should have been an adult in the room. Since I wasn't there, I would have expected the police department to be the adult in the room. I would expect the police to make the determination that to pursue a person at a high rate of speed was nonsense. I would expect the police to realize that in the pursuit of somebody at a high rate of speed, the police report says excessive high rate of speed. I would expect the police officer to say, we're not going to put the community in danger like that. I would expect the police to say, we're not going to put the suspect in danger like that. I would have expected the police to say, I'm not going to put myself in danger like that. Now, we've asked for some requests. I requested a meeting with the chief of police to find out what the response was. I just have some questions. I want to know what, when, how all of this transpired. How did it come about? I want to know what officers was involved. I read the police report. I won't call the names, but I probably should, but I won't call the names out of your respect, Mr. Chair, that said, don't call the names of employees. Are you giving me permission?
I just mean in the meeting, we don't need to have back and forth with employees. You can say what you need to say.
The names of the officers that's on this report are Mr. M. Brown, Mr. M. Marquette, and Mr. A. Everett. These are the names that's on this report. Was these officers investigated? Was this incident investigated? When were these officers allowed to return to duty? These are questions that we want to know. We want answers to these questions, and we're petitioning the city council to give us some response to these questions.
Thank you, Mr. DeJohn. Herman, is this an Aaliyah? I don't know how to respond.
I don't know either because it's not.
Hold on, we're trying to get somewhere. I hope that we will give response if there's questions about someone's family member that's involved in what was just described. Is my request.
Obviously, I'm not the
I know,
one
I'm
to do that,
just
but I can help.
communicating
I can
that
talk
to
to
you.
the one that is,
Okay.
okay? I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Reginald
Thank you.
McKenzie.
That's me. I'm the other grandfather. I wanted to say to the mayor of Tab Bowling, but he's not here. But I want to leave a question for him. Ask him is he a man of his word? And he'll know what I'm talking about. Our family has been grieving since the loss of my grandson. We've been also watching events as it relates to the murder of Mr. Steve Perkins. My daughter, she's been with me since that happened, hadn't been back home. And she watches me every day. What are you gonna do about Jada? I've been in contact with Aaliyah regarding the chase and the ultimate death of my grandson, Jaden. In the interview with Aaliyah, everything seemed to be just a normal chase by police for someone who failed to stop. However, after seeing the alleged published information regarding the false police reports in Decatur and the untruths, we're now wondering what really happened to James on September 4th. Here's some of my correspondence with Aaliyah. Mr. McKins, I reached out to the Decatur Police Department Internal Affairs Office and spoke with Lieutenant D. Leon, I'm sure y'all know who that is, and made him aware of your request to view the dash and body cam footage. The answer that I was given is that this request would go through his office. However, he's waiting on the chief to return to work for approval. Now, I saw the chief here last week. I've been in a couple of the meetings. So he said, I'm still waiting on the presentation from Lawrence County DA regarding the grand jury. So those were some of the correspondence that I had with him. Another correspondence was in regarding to getting a copy of Aaliyah's official investigative report. He had confirmed that this would not be available until it's presented to the grand jury. Then you come back again and say, Mr. McKinney, I spoke again with Lieutenant D. Leon the other day. And now he has deferred the video disclosure to Aaliyah. Now he's saying, no, we can't do that. I'm gonna have to defer that. Maybe the chief came. As an active investigating agency, as a result of the new law that just recently passed. According to the new law, the request must be made in writing. We have made that request to Aaliyah. Bring your attention to a couple other events in Decatur. In 2022, according to the Decatur police spokesperson, an off-duty police officer was at home at 11th Street Southeast when Gregory Martin Hill, 54, a white male, approached him in a Jeep and tried to run over him. Tried to kill him. He was taken into custody. Not murdered on the scene. In May of 2023, that young man was indicted for attempted murder of an off-duty police officer. This is what the wife said. She posted it. She said, I'm the original poster of this video. This happened at my home, and my husband is the officer. For all those asking why he came back outside, he said, we have 2 small children who were at home at the time. He went inside and told the kids to hide and went back outside in an effort to protect his home and family after the 911 call. My husband is blessed to be alive. He is sore, bruised, and scraped, but there's no serious injuries. Steve Perkins didn't get that chance to go back in the house to be with his wife and his children. On September the 4th, my grandson, a black teenager, goes to Whataburger at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. And he know how his granddaddy is. Yeah, I'm wondering what he's doing over here at 2:30 in the morning. And he probably felt he was going to be in trouble with both of his granddads. Come out and was chased to his death because allegedly he didn't have his lights on. Now, the Decatur police go to Steve Perkins' house, a black man, at 2 in the morning, and they had their lights off. Steve Perkins was ambushed and shot to death because he had his light on. Which is it? Which is it? Allegedly, that was a roadblock about a half a mile from where my grandson was coming out on 20. All they had to do was wait. But now I'm wondering, had he got to the roadblock, he may have been Steve Perkins as well. We don't know what would have happened. I served 28 years in the Army and was selected for colonel in 2009 and retired in 2010. In the Army, an officer is relieved of command for loss of confidence in their ability to lead. And that's where we are. Mayor, police chief, the people have lost confidence in your leadership, and you should both do the right thing. I know that neither of you was the perpetrators in that. However, these events occurred under your watch, and things that happened in my unit, I had to take the responsibility. So, where are we in Decatur? What are we gonna do? September, we had 2 deaths. My grandson, Steve Perkins. And allegedly, some of those same officers was involved. So maybe they shouldn't even been on the street September the 29th. So council, and I know the mayor's not here, but he made a promise. And there's a way for him to really follow through on that promise. He said he was not seek another term. So if there's a recall election, I don't need to see his name on that list.
Marquise Gray.
Bless you. And with solidarity with you guys as well. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I can recite that because I learned that in my civics class at West Morgan High School. When I learned something, I tried to take it to heart, but when I heard that and I thought about it and it came back to my mind, Steve Perkins lost his life, his liberty, and his pursuit of happiness, not by the judge in a courtroom, not by a jury of his peers, but he lost it by an overzealous police officer that did not see the humanity in Steve Perkins. As I look at the video, I see that it seems to me that he was viewed as a threat even before the police arrived. As I see the video and I hear "get on the ground," and I stop when I say ground, because before the D had exited the police officer's mouth, I hear bang, bang. Not one bang, not two bangs, but 18 bangs. And I said to myself, how does this make sense? In the same civics class, I also learned something called rule of law. Rule of law states this: it's a concept, and by definition, it is a durable system of laws, institutions, norms, and community that delivers 4 universal principles. These universal principles are accountability, law, open government, and accessible and impartial justice. Today, we, the pastors, we've gotten together, and we're going to simply break down one of those concepts. We're going to break down the concept of accountability. If I do something as a man, I must be held accountable. The law does not state if I'm a police officer, I am above the law. The law does not state if I am the mayor, I am above the law. And it seems to me in this city that we're seeing an indication of a system that continues to do this, and it seems to be like it's just okay with the people who are in control. But with all that being said, the people who are truly in control are the citizens of this city. So now I'm going to pass the table to the next pastor. By the way, I'm an assistant campus pastor at Beacon Hill in Hartselle, but I'm a resident of Decatur, Alabama. Pastor Owens.
Perfect.
Good time.
Good evening. I'm Pastor Owens, Senior Pastor of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church here in Decatur. And I have a 2-part question. Before I do that, I want to talk about accountability. Accountability must be equal. Have the officers that murdered Steve Perkins been held to the same standard that would have applied if Mr. Perkins had murdered them. We've all seen the videos that were covered from a neighbor's house. Those alone would have had any of us charged within 5 minutes, much less within 5 weeks. Question B, why have no actions been taken? Thank you.
Pastor Owens. I think a lot of you have been here every week and you've heard part of what I'm going to say. I have the same question. And I'll say this. The communication that has come out of City Hall has been just short of atrocious. And all that does is lead, all that does is lead to questions that I have, and I have to fill that void with something. And it leaves questions about, you know, what's true and what's not. So I'm with you. I have the same question. And I hope, and it better happen quickly. So I think I have tried in communications with others to say we've got to communicate better. We ought to be providing information to the public, to you, outside of this meeting. I don't know if the ladies here last week that thanked us for having council meetings so that the people can have a voice, right? And I appreciated that. We're providing a forum for people to be able to talk. And it's the only one that you've had. And I appreciate you coming and talking. But the communication, when you look at other things like this has happened around the country, there is constant communication. It doesn't rebuild trust, it doesn't do that, but at least you have information to know where are we, when's something coming, and that has been extremely frustrating. It's been disappointing. I could go on and on with a lot of words to describe it, but I'm with you, and I hope that changes really soon, and I'll say it better change really soon. But again, we still can't answer your questions, because I don't know. Dalen Woodall.
My name is Dalen Woodall. I'm the senior pastor of First Missionary Baptist Decatur. I'm a preacher. The Gospel of Mark, the 12th chapter, and verse 7, there's a story about a man who loses a son because people who were entrusted with a sacred responsibility failed to take it seriously. Miss Zelma Perkins is a mother who's lost a son because people who were entrusted with a sacred and serious responsibility failed to take it seriously and acted unjustly. What happened to Mr. Stephen Perkins is not about the tail wagging the dog. What happened to Mr. Stephen Perkins is not about outside agitators. What happened to Mr. Stephen Perkins is not merely about politics or merely about economics. What happened to Mr. Stephen Perkins is a moral issue. It's a moral issue when the people entrusted to protect and serve hunt and haunt you instead. It's a moral issue when you're disallowed from feeling safe in a community that exists in a country governed by a state of laws, a set of laws which affirm that we're all created equally. It's a moral issue when some of us get to hypothetically say what we would do if it were us, but others of us have to wonder what we'll do when it's us. It's a moral issue. When laws are written and not followed, it's a moral issue. So here's my question. Were the police supposed to be at the Perkins residence legally? Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Woodall. Patrick Tucker.
My name is Patrick Tucker. I am the senior pastor of Union Grove Primitive Baptist Church. And of course, I got things written down, but my God, to hear a young man that has lost his life being young, being chased by the cops for something minor, and to find out the same officers that chased him is the same officers that killed Steve. Let's talk about accountability. If we were accountable for those facts and false reports, is this a natural or recurrence thing that happens within Decatur City's police department? If so, it needs to be disbanded. If so, something needs to happen instead of us coming to this room week after week looking at each other. That's what the people want. We can talk all day long. And according to the Aaliyah reports, false reports go to them. I wonder, does that same false report, is that the same narrative? Even down to us marching week after week, month after month. It looks like it's about to turn in month after month. And we still have nothing. And the officers still are getting paid. Sitting back on the couch, enjoying the football games. And probably tuning into news, laughing at what they did. What I've seen in the last month is beware if you're a black man. And Decatur City, we're going to have to do something. And every time there's a rule that's brought up, tell me why it never applies to Decatur City. And how can we have an attorney that knows nothing? Something has to be done. That's all I'm saying. Something has to be done. I conclude.
I'll respond. I have to respond. I think when he said things don't apply, there's different forms of government, and certain parts of what you guys are reading apply to commission form of government and smaller than 10,000 residents, over 10,000. And I'm just going to say this, Herman has been with the city for 1,000,000 years, and he does an outstanding job, and he's a good attorney. So I will say that. All right, James Vito.
Hello, I'm Pastor James Vito. I'm an auxiliary pastor of Victory Church of Hillsborough, Alabama. I was aware of the police chase that happened in my county, and to finally meet the family, my heart goes out to y'all. Rule of law is that there are mechanisms in place. Are there mechanisms in place to prevent abuses of power? And what disciplinary actions have the officers faced that illegally did their jobs? Because this same officer apparently likes breaking protocol, going outside of his jurisdiction and his training. And the cost of that, 2 innocent people's life, a 16-year-old who hasn't even begun life yet, just started driving legally. So you're saying that this person who has cost the lives of 2 people in 1 month is on paid leave by this county? Excuse me, by the city? Now, the statement will consider, you say you don't know what the answers is, and I will grant you because, like I said, your man is leaving you how to drive with a bag over your head. But can you at least verbally say that you disavow, that you do not agree, and that you do not condone what happened to these 2 innocent young men? as people, not as councilmen, but as people, can y'all individually say, I know Billy Jackson has, but can y'all say, this is not okay, what this man did was wrong, it does not represent what you want for your city, that speak to the people who voted for you. They're here, they're watching on live, saying, hey, do you agree with this? And even in the words of Dr. King, silence is still agreement. Silence is still agreement. And then I will leave you with this. There was a man who was unsure which side of the fence he was going to be on, God or the devil. And he said, you know what? I'm going to ride the fence and see how it all plays out. Eventually, the devil leaves and God leaves. And the devil comes back and says, all right, it's time for you to come with me. And he says, what? He says, oh, but I was on the fence. He says, I know. The fence belongs to me. So how long are you going to ride the fence? How long are you going to ride this fence? And allow this man to be paid. A paid hitman, a paid assassin. Those are people that get paid to kill. And get away with it. At least Lawrence County locked up a hitman a few years ago and incarcerated him. You can look that up. They had enough sense to lock them up. But in your own city, speak to your people. Say, hey, we don't agree with this. We condemn this officer. We do not condone his actions. Speak to your people and tell them that you do not agree. Until that point, we associate that you are riding this fence.
I'll say something here. I've talked to many people in this room over the last, I guess, over a month now. You know, one of the first things I said in here was this should not have happened. I do think this was preventable, and it's a true tragedy. I've made statements about the officers, and I've gotten plenty of backlash for that. So I'll continue to stand by my statements. I've told many people that many times, popular or not. I just don't care. It's just how I feel. But nobody's riding a fence and nobody's hiding. I mean, I can only speak for myself. But, you know, it is frustrating, and we want the same answers. We want to be able to give more information, and we can't. But that's where I'm at. That's where I've been. And I spoke to a lot of you in here, and I appreciate what the time y'all have given me and the conversations that y'all have offered up. So that's what I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pike. I think I said 4 weeks ago in the meeting that what I saw on the video was wrong. So I'm riding the fence. I mean, some of you can probably, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of you in here, and you know my thoughts on the matter. So I appreciate the comments, but I'm not riding the fence. Arthur Warrior, I believe, is next.
Good evening, I'm Arthur Warrior, Pastor Arthur Warrior, pastor of Progressive Christian Outreach Ministry for 40 years in this city. When I came to Decatur, Alabama from Anderson, Indiana, I came down 6th Avenue, and coming down 6th Avenue, there was a large gathering of people there, and I was wondering what was going on. It was during the Tommy Lee Hines March. And now here I am 40 years later, and some of the same things are going on. My son-in-law is Nicholas Perkins. He's married to my daughter. And every day that I see him, the pain, the agony, the anguish that's on his face, for me, is almost unbearable. I know what the grandfathers were talking about over there, about what they feel and what they see every day concerning what goes on. Listen, we're here to draw attention to what happened and what took place. The only thing any of us have is the video, and all of us have saw the video. I like what the city council president said 4 or 5 weeks ago. From what I saw on the video, you know, it's a cut and dry situation. But we're not Aaliyah, and we're not the people that make those decisions. Even though they're looking at the same thing we're looking at. So my question tonight is, does the government and the power that the government have still exist? There are several historical government documents that we all are supposed to abide by today. One of those very important documents is the Declaration of Independence. In the Declaration, the power to govern comes from the consent of the governed. That's us. We, the people of Decatur, no longer consent to be governed by Tab Bolden. Because he's shown us that he doesn't want to be our mayor anymore. He's refused to fix what's broken in our city. And through his inactions, he's shown us how he really feels. So, the question is for you, Mr. Herman Marks, what do we, the people, have to do to get a new mayor right now? I knew I wasn't going to get an answer. That's all right. I'll kind of counteract my own self. According to Section 36-1-2 Code of Alabama 1975, 2011-055. A city over 12,000 people in population. When the mayor of the city of over 12,000 in population is absent from the city or is unable to fill his duties as an officer because of sickness or some other good reason, the president of the council, I know all of y'all are aware of what I'm reading right now. Yeah, the president of the council shall act as mayor to temper it with the power and the authority of the mayor during such time. In case of the absence or disability of the council president, then the president pro tempore of the council assumes the power and authority of the mayor. When the mayor is absent or unable to carry out his or her duties, Section 11-43-42 Code of Alabama. With that being said, Mr. Ladner, are you the president of the city council?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you, under your authority, dismiss Mr. Pinion from his duties as chief of Decatur Police?
I don't have that authority.
I just showed it to you, let you know that you did. That's why we can't lock and load. We know our rights and we know what the code says. All right. So anyway, amen. So at least order a temporary hearing for the discussion.
Let me, just, if you don't mind, the mayor and Mr. Jackson pointed this out, I think, in the newspaper this week. The mayor does not have to attend city council meetings, so by him not coming, he should be here, I'll say that. Should have been here last week. But him not attending a meeting is not a spot that I can jump in and be the mayor for the next 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours, whatever it is. That's not what that statute is referring to. It's vacating the actual job of the mayor. And I know you have opinions about that, but that's not what we have here. But I appreciate the.
So the
what
last
you're saying.
point that I made was, can there be since he won't show up before us, he don't want to talk to us, and we really don't want to hear what he has to say anyway. But if you guys can have a discussion with him in your meetings to find out what his response is as far as everything that we've asked you tonight. And then even when you come back, even if he's not here, you can give us the answer.
Sure. Yeah, what I said earlier about my patience, your patience is way thinner than mine, and I understand that. You're friends and family. I didn't know Steve. My patience, as somebody that didn't know Steve, is about here. And so what I would say is the mayor and others owe it to the public to have conversations coming out of City Hall, whether it's however that needs to come out, behind a microphone, not behind Facebook, to have those conversations, to give information about what's going on. And if we don't get that soon, we may have to do what you're describing. So that's where I am. Justin. Well, yeah. Justin. That is not happening. All right, let's go. Hey guys, give Justin his respect.
Justice for Steve Perkins. I want to first start off by saying thank you to the citizens of Decatur for showing up, even though it's not your job. I want to say thank you to the City Council for allowing us this time to speak and for actually showing up for work. We all know the kind of people, or the one person who sometimes doesn't show up for work, or who just doesn't care, almost like a tire on a flat tire on a car. Useless. Anyways, Saturday is Veterans Day. For those of you who don't know me, and those of you who know of me, today you'll learn a quick snippet about the soldier who stands before you today. My name is Sergeant Retired Justin Shepard. I'm a disabled Army veteran and retiree. I graduated high school a year early, so when I got my diploma, I was 17. My classmates still had a whole year left in school. That was when the recession hit. I went to a recruiter's office and had to have my parents sign off for me to join the United States Army to fight for our freedoms. I did, and I was shipped off to basic training. I was immature and not ready for what all I would face. I turned 18 in basic training. I had no birthday party, as you can imagine, and by the next year, I was fully trained and sent to combat in Iraq. Before I did, I was in Germany and made one last phone call to my family before I left. I said, "This is the last time I get to speak to you before I arrive in combat." My mom dropped the phone crying. There I spent my 19th and 20th birthday. When I got off the plane in Iraq, I'll never forget the sights and sounds. There was no denying that you were in a combat zone. This is a realization you really did sign a blank check for your life, and you may not come home. You hear gunfire. You hear helicopters flying right over you in numbers. You hear bombs exploding. You hear fighter jets taking off. You hear alarms. This was no joke. I at the time had thought we were only spending the next 12 months. For some that don't know what kind of sacrifices are given when soldiers are deployed, or what they go through, it hits really hard around Thanksgiving. You might not be in a place to even get turkey or a good meal. Or if you do, you may have alarms going off because you're under attack. Christmas is also really hard in Iraq. You try getting cheerful, but you can't spend it with your family. Children get older. People start to forget you. Friendships start to wane. I remember talking on the phone to family, and we came under attack. They even heard the explosions over the phone. And I had to tell them that I was going to be okay, and I had to go on knowing that it might be the last time I speak to them. We were almost 12 months into our deployment when we got told that we would be extended for another 3 months, and that puts us at a total of 15 months. When you're there, you have to try to sleep through jets taking off, gunfire, planes, and helicopters, and base alarms going off for attacks. I worked on a medevac site, ended up in guard towers for some of my time there. You have people shooting at you, and there's no bulletproof glass to protect you. If there's a sniper, a person with good aim, or a machine gun, you're toast. By the time I got back from Iraq, I wasn't even 21 years old. I couldn't even drink. I have seen a lot of things and had to talk a few soldiers out of committing suicide. A couple of soldiers did commit suicide. The effects of combat do not go away because you're home or back in the United States. I don't feel safe here anymore. I feel like I'm back in Iraq, but without the barbed wires and the alarms and fellow soldiers. I'm alone. But when this Saturday hits Veterans Day, I want everyone to know that there's a veteran in this city, that this city's police shot into his home and killed his friend. There's a veteran that has PTSD here. There's a veteran that doesn't have power to half of his home. There's a veteran here that can't sleep at night. There's a veteran who the mayor talked over and was playing on his phone while this veteran was giving a speech from his heart, which that mayor obviously needed to pay attention to. There may be a veteran alone this Saturday for Veterans Day. There will be a family and community without Steve this Veterans Day. There is a veteran who made sacrifices, even willing to give his life for this country and mine and everyone else's freedoms, to only have this city, the city of Decatur, turn their backs on this veteran. Thank you, and justice for Steve.
Anissa Sophia. Okay, Gregory Jones.
Hi, everybody. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I just want to know, where's the ethics? And where's the standards? And where's the morals? And where's the empathy? You can't have no compassion. You can't have no patience. You just want to just kill us out in the street just like that. Do things to us. I wonder, is that Bill of Rights that they signed for us in the 60s, Lyndon B. Johnson, Bill of Rights, first 8 amendments. I wonder, is that 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. The 14th Amendment protect all African Americans, all the black and brown people. Do we really have them? Do we really have them? I don't know. Is we going back to slavery? I don't think I'm gonna go back there. I don't know about me going back there. Because that's what it's looking like. Life It's not fair, y'all. All of us. A kid came out and asked me, I'm scared to go out the house. I said, I'm scared to go out the house. He said, I don't know if I'm gonna come back. I don't know if I'm gonna come back in that door. A kid. We ain't talking about no 20-year-old. We talking kid. So I'm in fear for my life. When you put people in situations like that, that's what you call rotten conditions. That's what you call rotten conditions. When you got this city and everybody in this city, we're not pulling together. All of us should be pulling together. We need each other. But it just seems like this country divided straight down the middle. I can see this as clear as day and night. And my question to y'all, what is the mayor gonna do when he don't show up? What kind of leader is he? You know, more she's supposed to have some accountability. Some accountability about yourself. Hey, I done you wrong, man. Own it. If you done wrong, get it out the way. Be a man about it. You know, I don't want to hide behind words. I don't want to hide behind that Bill of Rights. I don't want to hide behind 13, 14, 15 Amendment. If our law, if they was passed to us, we need them. And these police, they are really getting abusive in the neighborhood. They begin to be bullies. It makes me think of a game. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't mess with nobody. I don't want to fight nobody. But they really make me really want to go back to the old me. They really, you know, I mean, they can work the bear up if they want to. Keep on poking that bear. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I mean, a lot of people, man, all we need, y'all, is each other. We should have love, compassion, and patience. And with all that, we have to have understanding. Understanding. You know what I'm saying? And then, with all that, people need to take in consideration, if that was my son, if that was my daughter, how would you feel? Hold on, let's just put the shoe on the other foot. Let's just put the shoe on the other foot and then turn it back around and let's see how it feels. You'll feel the same way. And that man, all these folks in here. Because it's tearing me up. We need to go back to the 50s and the 60s, the golden years. Them the best years of this country. When they organize, when they protest, this is what we need in this country today. Tell you what we need to do. We need to organize in every state. And we need to unionize in every state.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, hold on. Marcus Emerson.
Hello, everybody. Council. Tonight, we're going to talk about leadership. First of all, Mr. Ladner, Mr. Pike, and Mr. Jackson, thank you for at least trying to give us leadership during this crisis. Because we're in a crisis right now. And unfortunately, the train took off September 29th, and unfortunately, the city of Decatur is still on a tricycle trying to catch up. Whoever your PR person, fire them. They've done a terrible job.
I think, can you just back up a little further?
Okay, well,
I
I'm sorry,
can-
but
I
it's
think
getting a little
that-
tense here. I didn't mean to hurt your ears, but still, you have tried your best to dehumanize. They have tried their best to dehumanize Steve Perkins, and unfortunately, Mr. McMasters, I'm going to ask you this question because somebody told me to ask you. How do you feel about that? Because Steve was a resident of your district.
He was. I answered it that very first meeting.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth, but we've all said it's bothered us. We don't like what we saw. We've got a lot of questions. Yes, I'm very bothered by what I saw that night. And there's a lot of this that, you know, we hear empathy and compassion. And like it's been said for 4 going on 5 weeks now, this is the only place for that to take place. I wish I wasn't up here saying I don't know the answers or I don't have the answers, but that's where we are.
Understandable.
And it's very, very frustrating.
It's very frustrating. And unfortunately, we have a mayor using political terms like wag the dog, but I got a term for him. It's called lame duck. Because unfortunately, he is checked out. And Tab, since you're going to check out, check on home because we don't need you. We need a leader during this crisis. We are in crisis. Our city is disunified. And right now, unfortunately, the only people that's trying to heal and trying to understand is the people right here. But it seems like our leadership, or I see the leadership, part of it, is not on the same page. And, you know, of course, the chief, where he at? He hiding too? Understand this, chief. No, I understand it's personal, but I'm not making it personal. But understand this. You could have got in front of this from day one. And when stuff go down like this, why do I see other big cities, the first thing I know is they get right on TV and they assure the public and make the public feel confident in their police and in their city. Our city has not done that. And that's why we're asking these questions. Thank God the protesters are still protesting peacefully. Thank y'all. I commend y'all for that. And to that young lady, the woman with the glasses, thank you so much. Thank you for speaking up because we need more people to speak up and to get understanding and get transparency. But what we need from the city right now, we need y'all to get on a train and catch up to Las Vegas and get ahead of this and stop sitting back. If Tab not going to do the job, then Tab go home. It's just that simple. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Tamitha Johnson.
I don't have a lot to say. Just me knowing Steve, and now that I met Jaden's family, I mean, it's like y'all really need to do something. But I really want to ask you this question, Mr. Attorney. If we're not satisfied with the mayor, I know you said they don't think you're gonna answer, but I want you to answer it. How can we get rid of Tab if the citizens don't feel like he's doing his job?
I've answered that before, and I would have answered it before when the gentleman asked, but he was clapping and he moved on. The answer to that is what's called impeachment. You need to get someone to help you with that.
It is not a function of the city council.
It's not a function of the city council. City council, he was elected by the people. The council cannot remove him from office.
It goes through circuit court. It's almost like a civil complaint.
So we just need to impeach him.
What about the city attorney?
What about?
If it goes through civil court, can the city attorney not bring it before civil court?
It has to come from like a citizen to remove. But what I'm telling you, and I think this is my opinion, not to get too, but I think it's a good thing in that we can't, if 3 of us don't like, or 3 of them don't like me, they can't just get rid of me, right? I was elected by the people in my district, so yeah, that's why there's no function of the city council to remove a council member or the mayor.
So do we go to the city?
I think I'm not gonna sit up here but you can find that out. There's actually an attorney in the back of the room that'd probably really like to help you with that. Yeah, so, yeah, no, and Tamitha, that's a good, I'm glad you asked that because again, that's one I'm getting on Facebook Messenger about once a day,
Okay.
and I've tried to answer, but I'm glad it's in a public setting.
Okay, and then another, I know you said I can't address him, but he's sitting back there, and if he got any kind of honor, can the chief not address both families and just tell them something to give them something? I know you telling me I can't talk to him, he know I'm talking to him. But anyway, I mean, can he not address the families and let them know something? Because we're getting all kind of mixed messages and stuff back from Aaliyah, and they're putting it on him in the same way he's putting it on them. Can he not address the family while he's here if he got any kind of dignity or respect for his community?
When we, that would be up to him.
Would you not like to speak with him today? I know I ain't supposed to talk.
You're good. Victoria Tucker.
He won't talk. There we go.
No, I think he's gonna wait to the end.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Victoria Tucker. I'm the First Lady at Union Grove Primitive Baptist Church here in Decatur. And I would like to preface this statement and these questions with the fact that an 11-year-old came up with this question that she wanted to pose to the mayor and the council. Mr. Mayor and council, I go to school here at Leon Sheffield in Decatur. I have classmates asking each other about this case. We hear, see, and feel much more than I'm sure you think. My peers and myself see how this is going. Rhetorically speaking, she did say rhetorically, am I to really feel safe here when wrongdoing has occurred and no punishment has been given? Do you really think a kid growing up seeing this would want to stick around here when they're an adult? Honestly, I'm already thinking of living elsewhere. My questions to you are, when are things going to change? Why haven't the cops been arrested? How are they still getting paid when they did wrong? When I do wrong, I'm not rewarded because most of the time I know better. I think these cops knew better, yet and still nothing has happened. I get into more trouble for not cleaning my room or making bad grades than these cops have.
Lisa Bradley. Lisa.
I thought you might have skipped me.
I got you.
And excuse me, y'all, because I'm not good at this right here, but I'm a little nervous. But you had mentioned that book or whatever we was talking about is old, so that doesn't pertain to us. The handbook for mayors and council members, 2020 edition, about the rule that the gentleman just read for you being the boss when the boss ain't here.
I think I mentioned that. Did
Right.
You and I talk
It
today?
doesn't say in that it doesn't apply to this. It doesn't say excluding.
So he's not required to be at this meeting. It'd be like any meeting. If he's not there, I don't take on the.
Does he not work for us?
He does. Yes.
Okay, so he should be at the meetings for us, right?
I said earlier I thought he should have been there last week and this week.
Okay,
I
so
agree
then
with
you also mentioned that if something doesn't happen quick, what does that mean, that you guys can get him out of here?
No, what I'm telling you is, we've addressed that question. What I'm telling you is, I want to give the opportunity after I have expressed my frustration and y'all might can tell tonight a little more frustrated. And if it doesn't, if there's not a resolution on that quickly, then maybe I will just have my own press conference. I mean, I don't know what we can do. But there is no mechanism. I'm going to say it 100 times if I keep getting asked, for us to remove the mayor or remove any council member from office.
Okay, those are just some quick questions. I actually want to address my dear friend Nika. It's her son Jaden that was killed by an officer at Decatur. Her and I were pregnant at the same time. My 16-year-old, I can't imagine people who are supposed to protect us that can get away with something like this. And I'm not supposed to talk to opinions, so I'm going to talk to you, but I want to answer tonight. I don't know, Steve. I'm not from Alabama. I'm from California. You guys should be grateful that these people ain't turned up. Because I'm going to tell you what, in California, it'd have been burnt down. Yeah. It would have been burnt down because what's happened is not acceptable. So the other night, I don't know if any of you all were in attendance, but we got some good information, and we were told that the chief, he got the ball in his hand. And we were told that he's got to provide the case report to the mayor for, okay, because we're not going to talk about arrest right now, because clearly y'all not going to address that. We're going to talk about termination. You know why? Because let me tell you something. I worked for the city, and I worked in the waste department. On my own personal time, I had an issue with bullies, like the police department, bullying my child. On my personal time, I went to my daughter's school, and I told the principal, I shouldn't have to come and tell you how to do your job, because you don't got to come and tell me how to do my job. And I might have said a bad word or two. And you know what they did? He called the mayor. The mayor called my boss, and they fired me from the city. You understand me? So it's personal for me now with the mayor. I want him out of there. And it can be done, and it's being worked out. Miss Andrea over there gonna tell us all about what we need to do, but I'm gonna go back up because I want to know, Mr. Pinion, was the case report made to the mayor?
Let him address it.
I'm asking.
If he wants to. You can ask.
Okay, well I'm gonna break it down to you. Listen. Okay, we know criminal charges are separate. We don't need body cam to fire individuals for not following policy and procedure. Okay? We're not gonna just talk about Steve. We're gonna talk about Steve. We're gonna talk about Jaden. We're gonna talk about that other lawsuit y'all got right now. That same week that them officers went into somebody else's home illegally and took someone to jail. Y'all, Decatur PD got some heat on y'all right now. So 3 instances in 30 days, the police have broken policy and procedure. And you tell me that that ain't enough to fire? And y'all fired me for saying damn? I'm being so for real right now because see, listen, I go to bed every night and I wake up every morning about this right here that's going on. It's a problem for me. My family is telling me I'm putting too much energy into this. It's a problem for me. It don't take rocket science to know that there's a problem here. Okay? And then see, I'm thrown off and you're not letting me get everything across. But see, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down to you, Mr. Pinion. Policy and procedure, number 1, false police report made. Number 2, assisting in a repo without a warrant. Number 3, bringing a private citizen, the tow truck driver. Don't go out the building, come back in here. Back to a location where supposedly Steve pointed a gun at him and they used a private citizen for a decoy. One of the 18 shots could have hit Mr. Justin. Mr. Shepard. You shaking your head, yeah, but you ain't fired these folks. Right.
Let's wrap.
His life was disregarded. No announcement of police on property until the ambush. Failure of officers to render immediate first aid. Instead, they stood over his body and one even kicked Steve's foot to see if he moved. Failure to secure crime scene as the officer stood over the body. The tow truck driver somehow got to drive off with the vehicle. I mean, come on now. It ain't rocket science. It don't take a mentally handicapped person can tell rules and regulations was broken. Okay, right? Has the mayor got a disciplinary report from you? For termination. We're going to hold on the rest. For termination. Yeah, you can do it. The ball in your hand. They didn't already expose you the other night. No, you can shake your head no all you want to, but from what we've heard, you got more pulled in the ball than this man over here. It's all in your hands.
Let's wrap up. Last point.
See, that's the problem. Y'all don't want to listen. Listen, it makes no sense for us to keep getting up in here and y'all keep making an excuse. I don't know, I can't say. Y'all are supposed to be leaders. Yes, I don't know what y'all definition of a leader is, but my definition of a leader is somebody who's gonna stand strong for what's right, period. Rushing me off this phone, off this mic, ain't gonna make it no better. And at this point, I'm disgusted with all y'all.
I'm not trying to rush you, but.
Yeah, well, that's what you're doing.
You get 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Elena Daly, for those who don't know me. Y'all having fun yet? At all? So why are we here? Why is it taking this long for all of you to answer this call? You are the people in power, of course. You know, you have more power than I do, obviously. And but I do understand your limitations. But let's go over a few of your jobs, shall we? In the Handbook for Mayors and Council Members, 2020 edition, which is the updated version, published by Alabama League of Municipalities, under Section 25C, if the mayor was here, I'd be addressing to him about his authority to dismiss officers and department heads. But instead, I'll address Section 65, which means that the council, by 2/3 vote, may remove any department head for incompetency, malfeasance, misfeasance, or habitual neglect of duty. Now, under all this section as well, you, the police liaison, can call for his hearing for his termination, but you can also call for the termination for the officers, just with you being the police liaison. Now, on top of that, this is cute as it's all written. However, I know that all of you find different meanings to these, especially incompetency, so let's go over a few of Decatur PD's recent lawsuits. Again, just like last week, an internal investigation is happening. So is that the only one? No, obviously not, because y'all have a lot going on. But not that much, because there's only 3. So since the mayor is again not here, let me point out again that since there is an internal investigation going on within his local police, updates regarding that investigation do pertain to him, by the way, being here. But anyway, under Decatur PD General Order 604, also under this order, when you spoke, also under this order, requests for escorts, like funeral processions and everything else, are reviewed and everything else by the chief of police. So ask him personally, if he denies it, I would personally like to know. Oh, well, good to know. This was also signed and approved by Todd. This general order was signed by Todd Pinion regarding escort services Decatur PD can do and how. Under this order, Procedure B, Number 2B, private vehicles, it says, officers conducting the escorts will activate patrol, emergency equipment, and lights. So if, under the dispatch call, your officer was escorting, he needed to have his lights on. But again, that didn't happen. Okay, that. General Order Number 111, also approved by Mr. Todd Pinion. Let me read this from my phone because it's jumbled. But under this policy, it states directly, it is the policy of Decatur Police Department that officers use only the response to resistance, which would be the call of that night, that reasonably appears necessary to effectively bring an incident under control while protecting the lives of the officer and others. They will apply de-escalation techniques when possible. The response to resistance must be objectively reasonable. And we'll go over that in 2 seconds. The officer must only use that response to resistance, which is reasonably prudent officer would use under the same or similar circumstances. I don't know who all was at the town hall, but I did ask Chief Allen, under just general circumstances receiving a dispatch call saying that a man is armed and objecting to a repossession, what would he have done? And as the ex-chief of police, he said he would have knocked on the door. So that's 8th Amendment. But anyways, so objectively reasonably, this term means that in determining the necessary for force, the appropriate level for force, officers shall evaluate each situation in light of the known circumstances. So the only thing known is the phone call, right? Including but not limited to the seriousness of the crime. According to this phone call, what crime did Steve commit? Thank you. All right, the level of the threat. What threat was Steve to the public, community? Thank you. So that's all that. I did this in my free time. I'm wrapping it up. I did this in my free time. Why is the internal investigation not released? I'm a mom of 2 kids. I'm a college student. I did this in my free time, okay? Why have you not all called for Todd's termination, all of you, and the mayor included, and in this investigation, why have you not called for his termination due to incompetency? It's obvious, right? this keeps happening over and over and over again in your city. There's got to be, a common denominator, right? We need new leaders, correct? So all of you as our leaders, because you all are not department heads, you are the council. He is department head. You're above him. Help us here, all of you, police liaison, council, mayor who's not here. You have power. Stop saying the same narrative to us that there's nothing you can do. There's so much you can do. And if I have to continue getting up here and reciting your handbook and the codes and policies for nothing, I guess, then I will continue to do that for Cotrella and for the 7-year-old and the 14-year-old that you all are denying justice and peace for. Thank you.
Walter Orr.
Any of my questions have been asked, but first of all, I want to say justice for Steve Perkins. Secondly, I want to say, y'all, I love you all, man, because you never know. Maybe we can walk out here and it could be us tomorrow, it could be us the next minute, the next hour, because a lot of us putting our face out here on the front line, and we are targets now. You know what I'm talking about? But I want to ask y'all something, man. When you read a book, and afterwards you place that book on a shelf, when you go back to read that book again, does the contents inside this book change, or do they remain the same? Although your point of view and perspective may change, that book is going to remain the same. It's clear to me that every council meeting I've been to, every time I look at somebody up here, look at their face. You're stressed out. You're ready to go. You're ready to go home to your kids and your wife. Some of us can't go back home to our kids or wife. You get what I'm saying? Steve can't go back home to his wife. Can't go back home to his daughter. I have 2 children. See, I'm sitting here grieving as well because my brother was murdered 2 years ago, Father's Day morning at 2 o'clock, where I'm giving a motivational speech. I get a phone call saying my brother was shot 4 times. You hear me? Be 3 years Father's Day. You get what I'm saying? My cousin James Sharpley was murdered by a gang warden, so I'm still grieving that. Stacy's sister was thrown off the bridge and still didn't do nothing about that. So we all going through something. I'm in the shoes of having to grieve and holidays by myself and can't call mama, can't call grandmother, can't call brother because I'm the only one that's in my family left that's fighting for justice for Steve Perkins and everybody else because I'm by myself when I walk out of here. But I'm not by myself because I got God with me. Yeah. But when I look at y'all's faces, man, and I see the anger, the frustration, and you don't never speak. Why are you even in a seat if you don't have nothing to say, couple? You get what I'm saying? Because that looks, think about it, bro. What if it was your child? What if it was your mother? What if it was your brother who actually works for the county? We know. What if it was him? How would you feel then? I saw you at the protest or at the bridge shut down and you come across the bridge and you got mad because I put the camera in your face and ran to the cops ready to ask what could they do about it. Nothing. You a public figure. So when you in public, you're going to be on the camera. But I got to say this right here, though. Y'all are right that they do have power to do something, but you can't expect somebody to do something that don't even give a damn. Look at your face, bro. You do have the power to step up. You answered most of the questions at every council meeting. At every council meeting, you've been talking, but you say you don't want to run for mayor, but yet you have answered everybody's questions when it was directed to him, or whoever else. You've been the one that's standing up doing it. So if you're not ready for that power, then quit answering questions when we demand a answer from him, or whoever else we ask for. Because y'all doing what? You're running back to answer them while they sit still. Why are you even here, Pepper? If you can't answer the people's questions, you are a councilman. That means y'all represent all of us in here. Y'all speak up for all of us in here, but yet you sit quiet. See, your silence speak a lot louder than your words. I hear your mouth, but your eyes speak a little bit louder. And I know this minute is up, but I want all of y'all to search y'all's heart, man, because you going home to your children. You going home to whatever family you got. You going home to your family. You're going home to your family. And you definitely going home to yours. And you are too. But yet, we still got unanswered questions. We know y'all ain't gonna answer the question because y'all don't give a damn. We know y'all got the power. She just recited all the laws to y'all that you have the power, but yet you won't do it because you know why? You're afraid of what may happen to you after you implement that power. You're afraid what they're gonna do to your children after you implement that power. You see what I'm saying? But we up here right now, we ain't nothing but a blood bank. That's all we is. One of us, you don't care. But y'all afraid to do what y'all have to do to the next person. And I know color don't have nothing to do with this as far as people say, but we're not blind to the reality of what's happening to our melanin brothers and sisters out here, man. And we know that as soon as y'all do something to get one of y'all white counterparts out of office, that their brothers and affiliations are coming for y'all, which we already know your family is affiliated with us. So now ask that.
Thank you, Walter.
I love y'all, man.
Lovell Craig.
Hey, how everybody doing? I was gonna get them to talk about policy and procedure, but I think everybody covered that. But first of all, I want to give my heart and prayers out to the mother that lost. I feel your pain. Since I can't address Mr. Pinion, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit about me. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up in AME. It was formerly Changed Stonegate. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the country. I grew up poor. Then I decided to become a correctional officer. So I've always been a lone wolf, you know what I'm saying, by myself. I didn't even have friends talk about me, oh, why you want to go be a correctional officer? Why you want to do this? Because that was my calling at the time. I went down to William, I went down to Donaldson, which is a max prison. It's max prison, and it was called West Jefferson, but it changed to Donaldson because they killed the officer. Not because they thought he was a good officer, but because they killed him. So, basically the point I'm trying to get at, I was a black sergeant down there, and I was gonna try to do some little role playing or whatever, but I don't have to because I can talk about this. We had a white inmate that we had in the cell. So I had told the white inmate to lay down on the floor so we can put handcuffs on you. When we come in, he did that. 2 black officers and a captain came in, they went to kicking on him and tried to hit him. I covered him. I said, y'all ain't finna do this on my watch. You understand? Because I was a supervisor. I made an oath to protect them and to stand up for them. Did it make me popular? Nope. But guess what they did after that? They respected the hell out of me. And I promise you, on my shift, the incidents went from up here to down here because they know I wasn't playing. Because I was taking care of my family. I would never make friends. So Mr. Pinion, even though I can't talk to him, hey, you took this job. If you took it to be friends, then you need to go home. It's hard. It's gonna be hard to stand up against your people. But you need to do it. And then I'm gonna say this. I tried to go along with everybody when they were saying it's a right and a wrong thing, it's not a black and a white thing. But Tab, Pinion, they made it to a black and white thing. By not saying nothing. See, if I hadn't said nothing when them black officers was jumping on that white inmate, it could have been a black and white thing, but I stood up because my parents taught me wrong and right. So all they got to do is do their job. I mean, they ain't, do the right thing. You ain't got to be popular. I like not being popular, I don't care.
Mike Stovall.
All right.
I'm Mike Stovall, and I'm from Decatur, Alabama. This is what I have to say. When I came in here, my mind was justice for Steve, justice for Steve. But as I sit here and listen to everybody, and especially when I listen to this family over here, I worked with children in this community for 20-something years, for 20 years, most of my whole adult life. And it changes the narrative now. Because it's like y'all, these officers are out here having a picnic season. And I don't know if you know what picnic really, where it comes from, but the word picnic comes from pick a nigga. When you go out there and pick somebody, the old slave master say go pick a nigga, and they killed him. And that's where the word picnic came from. And it's like that we had two people, two African Americans, a child and an adult that got killed in the month of September. September was bad for the city of Decatur because now we have blood on our hands for two, not just one, but for two. And it's sad, and it's making us look bad all around the other cities because one, we don't have any leadership. The mayor has not shown up. He has checked out. So therefore, who's leading the city? And to the stakeholders that's in this community, and I know each and every last one of you, I need you to call him and ask him to resign because we must move on as a city. Athens is growing past us. Huntsville is growing past us. Madison is growing past us. And we're the laughing stock because we don't know how to handle this situation. We need justice for Steve. We need justice for that young man who got, I'm going to say got murdered as well. And family of that young man, I would say put his picture on the opposite wall of Steve because now we have two people that we're going to have to fight for in the city.
Brandy Cobbs. Okay. No, you don't want to speak. You signed in? Yeah, absolutely.
I've never done this before. I worked for 25 years with DHR and wasn't going to, say something bad about the person that pays for my paycheck. But I retired 2 years ago and that's all over with. I've spent years going on call when I had to call the police in Huntsville the last 9 years and have them meet me out there at people's houses. And these kids and these parents had this white, they're not white, and they have this white face because they're like, they're in my house, who's gonna die? And I had to say, I'm okay, y'all can leave, I'm good, so that I could get anything done. These kids are traumatized. Any of y'all that work with kids, they know that they've got a target on their back. And the trauma, I'm a counselor now. The trauma that I see from people is tremendous and it does not go away. Like Mr. Shepard is saying, it is a war. It shouldn't be a war in people's living rooms, in people's front yards, in people's, cities. I've got a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old, two boys. I had to give them a talk when they were at Decatur High about if you have a friend from a football team that's in your car, you don't do anything stupid because they aren't going to be okay. And I didn't have to have that other talk. And I'm thankful, but I still had to have that talk because, the police force is training another generation of kids to be scared to death and to run instead of stopping, to panic, to have, PTSD because they're police. I mean, who are they going to go to when they're lost or when they're in trouble? I mean, I've got a stepson that's intellectually disabled. There's people that have autism in this town. I mean, you want to call the police because somebody mentally ill acts up, but they could be the one shot. So who do they call? And that's all I'm going to say.
That's everybody that signed in. If there's anything else from any directors.
I want to say.
Yes, sir.
Y'all just bear with me, okay? I'll be quick. I need to share. We've shared it before. We continue to share it. I want answers just like you do. I want them really right now, okay? You must understand that. I'm committed to finding those answers. But there's what's called due process, which means, and it's been cited, it's justice for everyone. The due process that's been shared is that our employees are entitled to have a hearing. We are waiting to get the information to do that. You have my commitment, and I've committed to the council. I'm going to do my very best to see what we can do to move this along. That is our desire. I understand it's been a while. It's much longer than we anticipated, but you've just got to know we don't want to do something and not get it fully answered, okay? So so the mayor's waiting for those answers too, all right? Well, I understand.
Thank you.
That's all I want to say.
Thanks, Herman. All right.
Thank y'all.
Anything else? No, afterwards, yes, sir. I can't keep, we'll have a Q&A all night. What, anything else from directors? Okay, anything else from council? All right, we'll stand adjourned. Thanks.